AM 1450, FM 99.3, KNSI. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, taking you home with VoigtJohnson Real Estate. Voigt is not here, but Johnson is. That'd be Heidi Voigt and Brandon Johnson. Brandon, it's great to meet you. Welcome.
Welcome. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I want to find out more about you and your partner in crime, or your partner in real estate, I should say. That would be Heidi. Tell us about VoigtJohnson Real Estate. How long have you been around?
So, VoigtJohnson's been around for probably about 5 to 6 years. Interestingly enough, Heidi and I were introduced. We were neighbors in West St. Cloud. So that's how we became friends initially, and then business partners. I was a realtor with another brokerage here in town, and Heidi worked for a builder in the mid 2000s. And then the evolution of the market, she kind of got into real estate as well, and then we kind of teamed up, became a partnership there, and it's just evolved to about, I think it was 2017, we started our own company, VoigtJohnson.
So you have seen a few ups and downs in the market, a learning process, I bet.
Yeah, I've been in the business now coming up on 20 years, so it's been almost a full cycle, ebbs and flows, and you just kind of see patterns repeat themselves.
So it's kind of cool, right? Because I believe that the market is an alive, living, breathing thing. Right? And
100%.
we see outside forces coming in, try to do a little manipulation here, a little manipulation there. And perhaps if folks would just back off a little bit, we'd be able to take care of ourselves.
Yeah, I think what's interesting, we get asked a lot, like, what's going on in the market? What's happening in the real estate market? And I kind of get uneasy, like, I don't know what's coming 6 months, 9 months from now.
Right.
What I try and focus on, and what we try and focus on, is being perceptive to what's happening now, and then how to devise a strategy or how to adapt with what's happening now. What's happening a year from now, I have no idea.
Right, exactly. Now, some people, especially like if they're first-time home buyers, right?
Yep.
The numbers may just scare the bejeepers out of them, right? You're buying a house for a couple of $100,000, $250,000, $300,000. This is your payment, right? And their eyes get real big. What do you say to those first-time home buyers?
Well, it's interesting because you go through statistics, and we can talk a lot about inflation and what's happening now. Rents are increasing dramatically, faster than home values. Mm-hmm. So it's hard when you're sitting down with a first-time home buyer. You have to look at what's your options versus rents versus mortgage payments.
Right.
And we'll get into this maybe in more detail later, but buyers, especially first-time home buyers, don't buy a $300,000 house. Right. They buy a payment, right? Sure. And so whatever that interest rate's at, whatever that payment equates to, they then extrapolate into that equates to a $250,000 home. Mm-hmm. That's what they go purchasing. The big thing is to sit down with your mortgage lender and look at your options, because things are changing so rapidly, and to fully understand what you're purchasing from a loan product as well.
And that's where you guys come in, that whole understanding, that whole education, right?
Yes, absolutely. And so we can put together a lot of options. It's interesting enough, in December, I kind of reached out to about 20 to 25 different mortgage lenders in the St. Cloud area.
Okay.
And we had interest rates double in a 6-month period. Never happened in the history of our country before. Right. From about June to October, interest rates went from 3.25% to 6.5%, 6.25%. Yeah. And so that's a dramatic shift. And so I reached out to a bunch of lenders and said, hey, what are your loan products going to be for 2023? And you really have two different scenarios in the mortgage world. You have mortgage brokers and you have banks or credit unions.
Correct.
And there's a difference, and they're both good. Yeah. Mortgage brokers reach out to investors all over the country and shop and get rates and products, and that's how they operate. Right. Banks and credit unions develop their own in-house products. Okay. So what I was looking for, and kind of the trend now, is mortgage brokers, banks can offer free refinances in X amount of years if rates go down. Sure. So I was trying to find out who the banks were that were recreating their mortgage products rather than just offering what they always have for the last 10 years, and which mortgage brokers were not just comfortable with their current investors, that were actually reaching out to new investors for better products. And that's how a first-time home buyer can really feel some calmness on knowing what products will make them feel safe in today's market.
Okay, so if I understand this correctly, you are dating the rate, correct? But you're marrying the house?
That's correct. That's a good way to say it.
All right. The other thing is the best time to buy a house was yesterday. The second best time is today.
One more interesting statistic is when interest rates doubled in central Minnesota, Sherburne, Stearns, and Benton County, the number of transactions in October dropped by 37%.
Wow.
That's enormous.
Yes.
You know what property values did? They still went up by 2%. So property values are not falling just because of supply and demand.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, this is so interesting. This is the first time we've ever had to just get together, right?
Yeah.
But think of the things that we're talking about. It's no different. Your conversation with me, it's no different than when you sit down with a prospective home buyer.
That's right. And so the big thing is if you're in the market buying or selling, you want to be educated. And that's where we really pride ourselves at VoigtJohnson is taking the time to listen to what your needs are and then coming up with a formula on what your strategy is and how to get there.
Okay, so we talked about first-time home buyers, right? And they're the ones that are a little jumpy, a little leery about this, that, and the other thing. But once they find out, they can sleep at night. What about that person that this is my fifth or sixth house or something like that? Do they have special concerns, more concerns, less concerns than that first-time home buyer?
Yeah, so the typical move-up buyer, if you will, a lot of what I'm finding, their main concern is I want to move, but I don't want to be homeless. So I can sell my home very quickly.
Where am I going?
Where am I going?
Yeah.
And so we have strategies for that too is, okay, we can get your home ready, not put it on the market, go shopping, find your home, and then have hopefully a buyer in the wings or a plan to get your home on the market because most people need to sell their home before they can buy. So it's really, they don't want to buy it and sell their home without knowing that they're going to be from A to B without being homeless.
Folks, you see where we're going with these conversations. There is such a difference when it comes to finding the right realtor. Taking you home Thursdays at 7:23, Saturdays at 7:50 here on KNSI with VoigtJohnson Real Estate. Online, VoigtJohnson.com. Brandon, thank you.
Thank you.